Welcome to UC Santa Barbara Career Services virtual workshop series. Our mission is to educate and empower all students and recent graduates to prepare for and pursue success. You are currently viewing the Keys to Interview Success workshop. After attending this workshop, students will be prepared to interview in order to secure employment. Visit our website for more information on interviewing strategies. When preparing for an interview, you should understand that there are three overall questions that employers are trying to answer about you. One, can you do the job or internship successfully? Not necessarily have you done this specific work before, but do you have the education, experiences, skills, or etc. necessary to come in and add value to the organization? Second, do you want the job or internship? Not just saying, I want the job, but conveying throughout the interview a genuine enthusiasm for the position and employer and how it fits well with your current career focus, goals, or purpose. And third, are you a good fit for the organization and team? This is often the hardest question to prepare for, as it is hard to know what they're looking for exactly. Look for indicators such as team member attributes and diversity, the organization's mission, values, and structures, and what they may be seeking beyond the job description. Do your best to understand the organization's recruiters and hiring managers' biases and preferences, needs, and wants. So there's absolutely no way to effectively answer some of the questions that I mentioned without doing a significant amount of research. The number one complaint of employers is that students have not done adequate research going into interviews. For a position, the job description is your best friend. Though not always inclusive of all the important factors, it usually lays out the key aspects of the position. As you read through, highlight prominent responsibilities and skills, and then start connecting your relevant experience, education, and skills with the job description. It's best to write out specific examples next to the job description and your related experience. If you know someone that works or previously worked for the employer, by all means contact them to see if they have insights on the position. For the employer, get as much information as you can about them. Visit their website, do a Google search, look on Glassdoor, LinkedIn, Indeed, use contacts that you may have, and see if you can figure out what the company's values, missions, and products as well as competitors may be. So also consider the industry and get as much information as you can, including, again, their competitors, what trends are for employment, what the field is talking about, what they're excited about, what they're challenged by, and use these resources to help you make decisions and understand what you may be getting yourself into. So use resources such as the Vault Career Guides, which you can access through our website, our Google search, LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, your contacts, social media, news outlets, etc. So the next thing is to really know yourself. So connect all of yourself to the research that you have done previously on the position, employer, and industry. Link it back to the three main questions that employers have. Can you do the job and internship successfully? Do you want the job and internship? And are you a good fit for the organization or team? The interview is your chance to tell the employer that you have the answers to their questions and are a great candidate for the position they seek to fill. Take time to review your resume and cover letter and develop stories and goals related to your education, experiences, and skills. There are a variety of interview formats that you may experience depending on the type of industry or job function that you're interested in. However, there's some common ones that are widely utilized by employers. The most common types of interview formats include phone, virtual, or on-site interviews. Phone interviews are often short screening interviews conducted by a recruiter or human resources professional. The purpose is to narrow down the candidate pool. Virtual or video interviews can often be used in lieu of phone screening interviews to do behavioral screening. It can also be used as a format for a full interview for a position through a one-on-one format, group, or panel. as an alternative to on-site interviews. On-site interviews are typically final interviews. They typically last anywhere from 1 hour to a full day, during which you might do several interviews and learn more about the work environment. So there are also various interview types: one-on-one interviews, a panel or committee interview, group interview, presentation, case interviews, and technical interviews. One-on-one interviews include you, the interviewee, and the interviewer, who is typically a recruiter, HR professional, or hiring manager. Panel and committee interviews occur when multiple interviewers ask you questions and you are the only interviewee. Group interviews include multiple candidates and sometimes multiple interviewers. This often occurs for positions that have multiple hires. Presentation interviews require you to typically do some additional preparation, as you'll be doing a short talk to an audience. You're typically given a prompt by the interviewers on a topic related to the job. Case interviews are common in management consulting and the business sector. And technical interviews are common in positions related to engineering and technology, specifically computer science. Currently, Career Services does not offer case or technical interview prep, but we do recommend that students connect with professors, academic advisors, pre-professional campus organizations, or additional online resources for guidance. For more information about each of these topics, you can visit the interview format section of our website. When interviewing, consider how you would like to make your visual impression on the employer. It is important to appear professional and polished according to the standards of the industry you're planning to work in. Whether you're doing an in-person interview or virtual interview, it's important to dress for the occasion. If you're unsure, it's likely safer to dress more professionally. When in doubt, in regards to an employer dress code or expectation for interviewing, it's usually okay to contact a human resources representative in the organization for guidance. If possible, you can also consult with a mentor in the field or in the industry or a career counselor for ideas. So, here are some initial tips to help you get started. One of the main tips for attire and grooming is to appear neat and tailored. This means keep it simple. Research industry dress standards if you're unsure about what to wear for interviews. And if you're interviewing in the technology sector, you may find that smart casual is more appropriate versus interviewing in the finance sector, in which business professional is generally the standard. If you're interviewing in a more creative industry, you may want to enhance your attire with your creativity. So you can learn more about how to arrange your attire on our website as well. On the day of the interview, you want to make sure that you are ready early and approach with enthusiasm and positivity. Remember to check your tech if it's needed for the interview. Ensure that your phone or computer is charged and plugged in, test your internet connection, and create a well-lit environment. Your goal is to convince the interviewer that you are prepared and humbled to be interviewing with them. Now we will transition to talk about the interview experience. So during the interview, make sure to arrive early. Always try to be prepared to start 10 minutes before the interview time, whether it's in person or virtually. Start out strong by thanking the interviewers for meeting with you for the time of your interview. Smile and show your enthusiasm for the position. Listen closely to the instructions of the interviewers and the questions being asked. Take notes after the interview is over. Ask for clarification if you missed something, and ask them to restate the question if needed, or restate the question in your own words. Exhibit positive body language. Notice how your body is reacting. And then ask questions at the end of the interview to demonstrate your interest in them. And finally, close the sale. Restate your interest and qualifications in the position, role, and organization. So here's some additional tips for phone and virtual interviews. For phone interviews, limit background distractions. Speak slowly and clearly, and remember to smile. Smiling helps have a positive tone when you're talking over the phone. Use notes, because you're able to utilize notes in front of you when you are on a phone. And then for virtual, dress as you would for an in-person interview. Familiarize yourself with the technology and make sure to check the connection, check your internet as well as any of your devices, create a simple background and have good lighting, and then look at the camera and not the screen. So the next thing you want to do is anticipate some of the key questions and the types of interview questions you might be asked. Common questions include personal assessment questions, which determine fit. These include questions such as, tell me about yourself, what are your short-term and long-term goals, and what are your strengths and weaknesses? Behavioral questions help employers assess your previous experience as an indicator for future performance behaviors. This includes questions that begin with phrases such as, tell me about a time when, describe a time when, or give me an example of, and typically is associated with some type of skill or behavioral metric. And the last type of question that you may be asked is employer knowledge questions, which help employers understand your level of interest with their organization and role. They typically want to hire people who are committed to the job, so they may ask you about what you know about their organization, an indication that you did your research, and why you want to work with them, which is an indication that you're truly interested in the role and would take the position if it's offered. Now, the method is a highly effective way for you to structure your interview answers, especially for behavioral-based questions. STARS stands for situation, task, action, results, and so what. Situation and task is when you describe the context and you want to avoid overgeneralization. For action, you want to share the steps that you took to solve the problem or showcase your skill. For result, talk a little bit about the outcome. What are the benefits? What did you learn? And then, so what is explain what this experience demonstrates about your qualifications and connect it to the employer. Now, after the interview, you're kind of reaching the end. Most of the time, the interviewers will ask you if you have any questions for them. Make sure to ask follow-up questions because it shows your interest in them and that you did your research. Do not ask them anything that you can already find the answer to online. Instead, focus on asking open-ended questions that could help enhance your understanding of the employer or questions that could help you connect more with the employer. Some example includes, what are the professional development opportunities within the organization? How are trainees evaluated? Why do you enjoy working for this organization? These questions help an employer talk a little bit more about them, but also help you learn a little bit more about the employer. So avoid asking questions about salary and benefits until you receive an offer, but be prepared if the employer asks you what your salary expectations are. As this is usually a negotiating ploy by the employer, it's best to deflect the question diplomatically if possible. For example, from what I heard so far, I'm very interested in the opportunity and think I would be a strong fit. If there's a mutual interest, I'd be eager to consider an offer. So that's an example of a phrase. If the employer still presses you for an answer, make sure you research ahead of time, utilizing resources like salary.com or any resource that shows you employment data and salary expectations, and then figure out a salary range that you're comfortable with that you would like to present to an employer if you're pushed to give them a salary frame. And finally, restate your interest and gratitude for the interview and always follow up with a personalized thank you note. So you completed your interview and now you receive a job offer or an internship offer. Here are a few reminders for you. When you get the offer, this is your opportunity to ask the employer and see if the organization and job is something that would be a good fit for you and is a place that you would want to work at. Don't rush or accept an offer if you're not sure about the position. Ask for some time to respond, whether it be a day or more. You can think about how much time beforehand. Don't ask for too much time and keep an employer waiting, but give yourself enough time to consider the offer. When negotiating, you can negotiate for other items besides salary, such as moving costs, paid time off, stock and equity options, and work schedules. While salary negotiation and offer negotiation can be tricky, career services can help. We have a lot of information on our website about salary and offer negotiation, and you can always meet with a career counselor to further discuss. So, after brainstorming and preparing for your interviews, you need to practice aloud for your interviews. It is very important to practice saying your answers. While you do not need to memorize your answers word for word, it's often helpful to plan which skills, experiences, and stories you want to talk about so an employer can get a comprehensive understanding of who you are and why you're the best candidate for the position. Whether you're practicing for an in-person interview, phone interview, or virtual interview, take the time to refine your answers and review them for improvements. Obtain interview feedback before you interview. You can record yourself on audio or video to observe your responses, practice mock interviews with a friend, family member, mentor, or career counselor, or request feedback from someone who has interviewed you previously. You may want to gain feedback on things such as your body language, confidence level, and the quality of content that you're sharing. Assess the pros and cons of your responses and consider how each component contributes to the overall quality of the interview. Career Services recommends that you check out this online tool called Big Interview. This platform has fast track and master track video lessons, AI-based virtual practice interview tools, and virtual interview practice. You can log into Big Interview through our website, career.ucsb.edu. Continue to utilize Career Services as a resource in preparing for interviews, including interview prep appointments and mock interviews. We offer a variety of virtual services, including document review, drop-in advising, individual appointments, virtual workshops, and recruiting events. Thank you for watching this virtual workshop. Please check out our website at career.ucsb.edu for more virtual workshops and other helpful information.